let's go ahead and get into this problem here, my party people. As always, like I said, what's the first thing you got to do? Hit me. First thing we got to do, read the question. Read the question. So let's just dive on in, man. Read the question. It says, hey, if watching each video, that looks like a lot, right? So here's a little trick. When you see the word if, that's just conditional information. That's just information that's important for sure, but that's not the question itself. So you don't need to freak out about that and make yourself read a really long sentence. The question sentence is always going to start with who, what, when, where, why, how many, which of the following. That's really what you want to go for. So right here, what charge was the phone's battery at before watching the videos? Everyone, in that red highlight, what charge was the phone's battery at before watching the videos? If there's a word or two that you might want to underline in that red highlight, what would it be for you? Olivia, Whitney agreeing. Yeah, I see a lot more people here saying, yeah, the word before. So again, what I just asked was, in that question sentence, as we read it, is there something that you might want to fixate on, a piece of information that might be really important? And when it comes to word problems, basically, these are called chronological identifiers, basically timeline. If you have a word that identifies some part of the timeline, you definitely want to pay attention to that. Because in math, it's like a story when it comes to a word problem. And if something happens first, second, and then last, you want to know what's going on. So right here it says before, so the phone's battery, before watching the videos. So everyone, my party people, does it sound like we might be working forward or working backwards to get to the correct answer? What's your opinion here? Right, and I agree with that. To me, it sounds like we're going to be working backwards, because if we're trying to find out what happened before something, it sounds like we're going to be given the information of where we're at now, and we got to figure out what happened before. Yes or no? Does anybody here agree or disagree with what I'm saying? It sounds like we're going to have to work backwards to get to where we need to be. Cool. I'm glad. So let's go and write that down here. So what we want, again, if it's fair to you, you tell me. If it's fair, what I want for step one is basically phone battery before, let me just highlight that, before watching the videos. And again, this is something that you can have in your head or something that you can write down as you get more accustomed to doing word problems. A lot of the times you'll be able to keep this in your head, but do we agree with that? We're looking for the phone battery before watching the videos. Plain and simple. Cool. And so making it this far in this video, I'm going to go ahead and say it's safe to assume that you like the way I teach. And that's the truth for a lot of folks here. So if you want to learn more about my program, where you can get all of my practice questions, including 15,000 that'll help you succeed with step-by-step solutions, a lot of them having video solutions, then go ahead and reach out to me. My phone number is 567-698-8867. Go ahead and reach out to me. That way you're not stuck in the same loop that so many people are stuck in with retaking the ASVAB over and over again when the solution to getting a higher score is right here in front of your face. Again, go ahead and text me, ask me about my full program, or click the link in the description to learn more about it. But at the end of the day, sign up, get the score you want, and that job you deserve. Now again, the way that we're going to get there might be a little different, might include some fancy stuff, but at least we know what the point of the story is. We just want to know the phone's battery before we started watching videos. Now, step two, let's take a look at the given information and let's see what we can do with it. So, step two, let's write down the info. Let's see what we got. And it says here, hey, 16 videos on his phone. Okay, so after we watched 16 videos, let me write that down. Watched 16 videos. Okay, great. And so notice how I'm writing the number, but I'm also writing the associated idea, which is, what's 16 mean? That's the number of videos that we watched. So watched 16 videos. Always do that, because just writing the number is never going to be enough. You need to know what the information means. Next up, here we go. It says, and let me make sure I highlight this. Boom. So it says, after watching 16 videos, Thomas's phone battery is now at 23%. So let me highlight that as well. Phone battery is now at 23%. So He watched 16 videos. Now at 23% battery life. Okay, and then let's see what else we can muster up here. It says right after that, if watching each video consumed an average of 3% of the phone's battery, and then we got to the question, which is again, what's the phone battery in the beginning? But it says here, if watching each video consumed, and let me just watch here. Let me highlight all of this. In that green highlight, everybody, if watching each video consumed an average of 3% of the phone's battery, with the exception of the 3%, everyone, what other word should we really focus on in that phrase? Because it's not a complete sentence, but in that phrase, in that green highlighted phrase, what's another word that we should really pay attention to? You may think that average is it, and what they're pretty much saying with average is they're just saying, hey, look, one video might be 4% consumption, another video might be 2%, but overall, on average, each video is going to be 3%. But there's a word that I literally just said that is also in that sentence. Some of y'all are starting to get it. It starts with an E. That's right, Lewis. Each. The word each. That is really, really, really exactly real. It's very important to identify the word each. Average is important as well. You see a percentage there too. But the word each is typically a very important word. Very important word because that's going to be an identifier of what's called a rate. So let me go ahead and highlight that for you here. In red, each video consumed 3% of the battery. Let me write that down for you here. Right over here. Each video consumed 3% of the battery. Now, this is where we're going to stop playing games. Yes, that is absolutely a rate, Landa, and I'm going to write that down for you right over here. This is absolutely going to be a rate, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But we're done playing games here because once you have all this information, you should, with some practice into this unit, you should absolutely know what's going on here. This is what's called a linear equation. So has anybody here ever heard of the equation y equals mx plus b? Yes or no? Yeah, by the time I'm done sipping my water, that was what, 20 replies? Exactly. So yes, y equals mx plus b is exactly what we're going to be using here. And I'm going to remind you what each piece of that formula means. But before I continue, please make sure to write this down if you're in my program. This is Unit 6. If you want to tackle about 13 different types of this same problem, each of them telling you to look for different parts of the equation, this is going to be so helpful to you. Unit 6, this is solving equations, word problems. Solving equations, word problems, right? Here. Sorry for the handwriting. I seem to be writing like a child today, so there's that. But let me go ahead and show you this. And I'll write the last problem down in a moment here. But what you're going to do is understand that you have y equals mx plus b. Here's what each piece means. Here's what they all mean. The b is what you have in the beginning. Okay? The b is what you have in the beginning. Y is what you have at the end. It's the result. Okay? So let me write that down for you here. Y is the result. That is the result. What are your m and your x? Well, if you remember, m is in the math world, that's called slope. But in word problems, this is going to mean the same thing. It's just labeled differently. And that's going to be called your rate. Slope and rate are literally the same thing. For the context of taking the ASVAB, same exact thing. So that m right over here, that's going to be your rate. And to make things simple and safe for you in the context of today's class, your x is going to be how long it takes you to go from the beginning to the end. So typically, that's gonna be time, okay? Typically, and again, I say typically with a grain of salt because some problems can change it up on you, but with enough practice, you can recognize the change immediately. But X, again, is gonna be time. So just to review it one last time before I continue here, watch this. Y equals mx plus b. Your y, that's going to be the result. M is the rate. X is the time it takes to get to the result. And b is where were you at in the beginning. And if you think about it, this does make a little bit of sense here. What you have in the beginning plus what happens is what you have at the end. Booyah. Okay? So with that, I'll let you write that down briefly for a quick moment because I think that one of my students just said that he just passed the test. Let me see. Dom, let's go. Just came in early, say thank you for everything. Just came back from maps and passed everything. Now you just have to take the enlistment oath and wait to ship. My man. Hey, you could have done it without me. Shut up. You could have done it well without me, but I mean, I appreciate the credit given, but man, that was all you. That was all you, Dom. And so with that said, congratulations, Dom. I can't say I'm super happy for you because I gave you a free hoodie and you still haven't taken a picture with it, but congratulations. You deserve every bit of it, man. Congratulations, dude. You know what? This is one of those rare moments. Everybody, go ahead, unmute yourself, give Dom a yurt, hit him.
Congrats.
And there it is. I love my job. I love my job. Congratulations, Tom. Told you could do it, man. And you didn't really exemplify too much nervousness. You were pretty much, hey, I'm going to sit down and do what's required. And because of that, you succeeded probably way sooner than you would have. So congratulations, Tom. Deserve every bit of it. Obviously, reach out to me if you haven't done so already. I'm going to text you back tomorrow morning. I got you. So let's get back on track here, my party people. So we're here. We got y equals mx plus b. Let's see where all this information fits in. And there's going to be one little detail here that if you miss it, even if you plug the numbers in the right way, you'll get it wrong. And it's all about this thing called context. Watch this. Everyone, before we start, which one of these are we looking for? Which one are we looking for? The y, the m, the x, or the b? Which one are we looking for? You're the man, Dom. Shut up. You're the man. So which one of these are we looking for? And I'll zoom out after a couple of moments just to see if you remember. Which one of these are we looking for? The results, the rate, the time, or the beginning? Yeah, there we go. We're looking for what happened in the beginning, what we had in the beginning. Again, the question in red, it says, what charge was the phone's battery at before watching the videos? So we're looking for what we had in the beginning. So right here, before watching, that's what we're looking for. Next question. Let's go through the information and let's see if we can figure out and connect the dots here. Next up, watched 16 videos. What is that going to be? 16 videos. What's that going to be, everybody? Let's see who knows. This is one of those rare moments. Yeah, this is going to represent your timeline. This represents basically what happened to take us in terms of the beginning to the end. We started at a certain battery level. We ended at 23%. And basically what happened to get from beginning to end was we watched 16 videos. I told you typically, right? Did I say typically? I didn't say always. I said typically that's going to be time. But it can be different. In this case, the number of videos is your timeline. 1 video is a timeline, 2 videos, 3 videos later, 4 videos later, 5 videos later. That is going to be it there. So, do we agree with me that this is basically your X, your timetable? Do we agree with that before I continue? That the 16 videos that you've watched, Again, that's what got us from the battery percentage in the beginning to the battery percentage at the end. Watching those 16 videos is the timeline. Okay, because that's the biggest thing here, because that's the biggest part that confuses. Now, let's see what we have next. We are now at 23% battery. We already said that we're looking for B. We have the X with the 16 videos, so what's left is we have Y and we have M. Which one of these is that going to be? We are now at 23%. Is that going to be the Y or the M? The Y meaning the result where we're at now, and M is the rate, what happens each term. Excellent. That's going to be the Y. Again, remember, the Y is the result. If we are now at 23% battery life, that's the result. We ended up at 23% battery life. So that's going to be our Y. And then lastly, again, so let me just write that down, the result. Each video consumed 3% of the battery. We already listed that as a rate right over there. And what letter was that in the context of the equation? What letter is that going to be again? M. Yep. So let me prove to you why this is the case, because I know some people may be confused in terms of, okay, coach, I'm following along, I'm writing down what you're writing down, but it doesn't make sense. I got you. That's why I'm teaching, and I'm not just reading off of a book. So read this here. Each video. Everybody, is it true that the word each is synonymous with the word per? Is that true? Yes, it is true. So here's another way that you can write this down. You can say each video consumed 3% of the battery, but another perfectly okay way of saying this is 3% per video. So basically, every video you watch, you are taking 3% of your phone's battery life. Same thing. You're saying the same exact thing. The word each and the word per are interchangeable. It just depends on the way that you say it. It just depends on the way that you say it. Yes or no, does that make a little bit of sense for you before we plug in and solve? Excellent. Cool. I'm glad. I am glad. So with that said, let's go ahead now. Let's see what we can do here. And I'm going to show you the setup, and I'm going to do it incorrectly on purpose, and I'm going to wait to see who can correct me and give me the right way and the reason why I made a mistake. So I'm going to plug everything in, hopefully the right way here. We are looking at the Y, which is the result. That's 23%. So I'll go ahead and write 23. Then the next thing is the M, the rate, and that was 3% per video, so I'll put 3. Then the X is the timetable, which was 16 videos that we watched. So I'll do 3 times 16. And then we're looking for the battery life in the beginning, so I'm going to put plus B. So all I've done so far is I've just said, hey, here's where we're at now, 23%. Here's the rate, 3% per video. Here's the X, the timetable, that was 16 videos. We're looking for the beginning. Boom, there's B. I plugged everything in. It seems like I did everything right, but this is actually wrong. Can anybody tell me why this is wrong? Kenny? Yes. Can anybody tell? Well, we didn't plug in B because we're looking for B. Remember, B is what's the beginning battery life. We're going to figure that out. So don't worry. B is not known, and it's not supposed to be known yet. Yes, another reason why they're Whitney. It's supposed to be a -3. This is the single biggest mistake that people make when they start trying to set up equations. It is not 3 times 16 or 3 for the M. It's -3 for the M. And the great follow-up question is, why? Why is it -3 and not +3? Well, first, let me write down the correct equation. So again, this is incorrect. The correct way to write it is 23 equals -3 times 16 plus B. And the reason that this is the case is actually a very simple one. It's called context. Context is pretty much the story. Everyone, what does that 3% represent? Oh, how much battery we are what? Consuming per video. It's how much we are consuming per video. Everybody think about it like this. If our battery starts here and we are consuming battery every time we watch a video, what's going to happen every time you watch a video, everybody? Is that battery life going up or going down? Which one is it? Which one is it? If we are consuming battery life, which way is the battery life going to go from the beginning? It's going to be going down. I see you guys in the chat box, it's going to go down. Think about it. In reality, if I'm sitting here going on YouTube and I'm looking at prank videos, whatever, cool. Every time I watch a video, my phone's battery, unless it's charging, right? Unless it's literally charging, that battery life is going to be going down. All that tells you is this, is that your rate is going to be negative because your rate is what's happening to that beginning amount. That's what your rate represents. So it needs to be a negative value because your battery life in the beginning, it goes down to the result because you're consuming. Yes or no? Does that make sense? And Shane, yeah, it definitely gets a lot of people. That's why I'm taking so much time to really make sure this makes sense, because I want to make sure that when you look at problems like this, you're not just trying to rush through them, but you're feeling confident that when you set things up, you're like, oh wait, oh no, it has to be negative. Because if you would have considered that positive, you might have gotten a different answer here on this question. You might have gotten a question or an answer, that may or may not be here because it may be too low anyway. So with that, that's why the rate is negative. And once we have this, we're good. Everybody, look at how simple it is to solve now that we have this set up correct. What's negative 3 times 16 going to be? And for those of you that are a little apprehensive about negatives, just do the 3 times the 16 and then consider a negative times a positive. Negative times positive is negative, so just worry about the 3 times the 16, which will give us that 48. So let me write that down on the side over here in blue. 16 times 3. 6 times 3 is going to be 18. And 1 times 3 is 3. Carry that 1. That'll give you 4. So 48. So we have 23 equals negative 48, because a negative times a positive is negative 48 plus B.
Let's keep it real, my math party people. I know that watching these ASVAB videos on YouTube is great, but what if you could join me live for a free class once a week? I do have free classes live once a week for 2 hours apiece for ASVAB Math, so why not join me? Click the link right here. That way you can join me, raise your score for free, and keep kicking butt like you're doing right now. Let's get back to the action, but I hope to see you in class soon. Click there and let's get started.
And it looks like the last thing we need to do to find out what we had in the beginning is getting rid of that negative 48. Everyone, if we want to get rid of a random 48 that's being subtracted, what do we do? Right, we do the opposite operation. So that's a 48 being subtracted out of nowhere. I need to go ahead and add it. But where? Remy's the only one who said it properly. We need to add the 48 to both sides. Add the 48 to both sides. Shout out Remy there. Boom. Right on. Bam. And so now we have 23 plus 48. What's that going to be, my party people? That's going to be 71. Yep, absolutely. That's going to be 71. We have 3 plus 8. That's going to be 11. 2 plus 4 is 6. Carry the 1 is 7. So we have 71 equals B. So basically what that means is the beginning battery life is 71%. B equals 71%. That is the beginning battery life.
And as always, my party people, thanks for watching. You can subscribe with that button right there, and you can also see a link to a video just like this one right up there. But most importantly, if you want the program and you want to raise your score the right way, every step of the way with my support, there's that link at the bottom left. Go ahead, click that link, watch the video on how the program works, subscribe, and raise your score.